Hello and welcome to Murphy's Garden, and you join me in the middle of May, a really lovely time of year in the garden. It's my very favourite time simply because everything's looking lush. The promise of everything is still to come. Haven't started having to water very much and deadheading and all those monotonous tasks. Everything is fresh and full of promise. I wish you could bottle that feeling and dish it out as a tonic in the depths of winter, because I just love it. And it is important. We're busy doing all these jobs, and it is important to just stop and well, smell the roses, and that's quite appropriate because I'm here in the parterre, but stop and smell the roses, both metaphorically and physically, and just take in the beauty that is the garden in May. So we're off to the Chelsea Flower Show in a couple of days to get lots more ideas and inspiration. So I hope you'll join us for that video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. But this channel is all about just getting ideas for our own gardens and the day-to-day running of this garden, trying to push things forward and make improvements all the time. But we'll start now and just go for a tour, just look at the garden as it is in May. So I think we'll begin our tour at the Hornbeam Walk. So the Hornbeam, in fact, Alistair has just cut it yesterday, give it a light trim. The growth on it is just phenomenal. It's really going for it now. And look how the right-hand side row is really starting to catch up with the other side. You can hardly tell that one was planted quite a few years before the other. And I think the skimmias are working really well, and they've put on loads and loads of growth. Lots of new green leaves on that one there, on all of them really. So I think this gives this feel, just a nicer, calmer, relaxed feel in this part of the garden. I'm really glad we did it. Then as we head up the Hornbeam Walk, we've just got an array of pots. Done a little bit of work on the pots, but I'm just kind of trying to use what I've got and not really buying in a lot more stuff. So I've got some geraniums that overwintered really well, so I've just put a geranium in the main pot. And then this grass is called Lazula nivea, and it's the one we saw at the Malvern show, and it really is lovely. I've taken it out of the pot and split it because we needed it somewhere else, which I'll tell you about as we go round. And up here you just notice this lovely clematis. I just wanted to point that out before I moved on. Isn't that lovely? And also blues. Look, quite a lot of blues at the moment. Look at this lovely iris. Iris siberica. And that's the view as I look back up towards the house. And we'll head round now down the long walk. And you'll see there's some wood there. That's just what Alistair's using for the vegetable planters, the raised borders that he's creating. So here the Nepeta is starting to flower. I was a bit worried earlier, well not worried, but I was a bit concerned earlier in the year that some of them weren't really doing very much. On this side they're better than others, but I used the little cuttings, there they are there, that Olivia did. She did lots when she was home. And particularly on this side. Now there's not much room on this side. In hindsight, that hedge should have gone a little bit further back, but it's difficult to imagine these things whenever you're putting in little tiny plants. It seemed big at the time. Then you'll see the bottomless pots, the osmanthus buckwoodii and the erigeron. The erigeron's come back into flower with, all I did was cut it back. I haven't done anything else, so it's lovely that I don't have to replant that every year. It just does its own thing. So very low maintenance pot. They just need watered now and again, but the roots can go right down into the soil, so it's good. So that's the view as we look up the long walk, and you'll see that the limes are all in leaf again. This side here, the Nepeta, I thought was pretty dead, but actually a lot of it has come back. But where there are any gaps, I have just infilled it with Livia's Nepeta cuttings. And anywhere where there's gaps, I'm just sticking in all my plants that I've been growing. A lot of these are going to be good for cutting. They're the straw flowers. And we'll head now into the Quadrant Garden. So the Quadrant Garden, on either side we've got these big clumps of eupatorium, and I do stake everything quite well because I don't want it to flop onto the path. I've actually stopped doing the Chelsea chop. I used to Chelsea chop some of these things, but actually I haven't been doing it, and it's been fine as long as I stake You can just see the stakes, well, they are in there somewhere. In there, yeah, there's the bamboos. So it's incredible when you put them in, they look really ugly and really visible. And then within a few weeks, you can barely see the stakes. You can still see some bamboo and some string going across the border, but all of that growth will grow through that and you really won't see it. So the colours here, oh, I just love it at this time of year. Just purples and blues and bright greens, that vivid nice green of spring. And the borders are really quite full. We've got Persicaria here at the front. We've got the Salvia nemorosa caradonna, the alliums, which are the purple sensation. These roses, which are about to, will open shortly. They're the ballerina roses, which we moved. They were originally in the parterre, and they love it here. Loads and loads of lovely buzzy bees. On the Aquilegia there. The peace and tranquility in the garden is just lovely. All you can hear is the hum of insects. The garden is full, absolutely full of birds nesting, all the hedges that we've put in. It's so gratifying to see that all the nature that comes to the garden when you plant, particularly hedges. They love hedges. Then here we've got, that's the monkshood, aconitum, and I had lots of gaps here, but I've infilled it with lots and lots of, I've got the apple blossom antirrhinum. This is a nice euchera. More, I love salvias, lots and lots of salvias. We've got irises, which some of which are still to open, the white ones are still to open. And then if we spin round to this side, lots and lots of more alliums, purple sensation. They've self-seeded, and I put the original ones in many years ago, and then they gently self-seed. They don't overtake, they just are quite gentle. Lots of Aquilegia. That's the Christophia allium, which doesn't self-seed quite as much as the purple sensation, but we have got a few. Perhaps need to get some more. A bit of Astrantia in there. This is a nice geum. I think this one's totally tangerine. And this is the Thylictrum. I couldn't remember where I bought it from. I actually got it when we went to Tatton the first year, and it's called White Splendid, and it really is splendid. I love Thylictrum. And I did buy another one from Rosie Hardy and Rob Hardy at the Malvern show last week, which I've put in one of the other borders. So if I just stand back and let you see the colours. And on the left-hand side of the screen, that's Saxifraga ubrum, which is also called London Pride. And also the foxgloves, the digitalis, are looking lovely, and they've got very strong stems. They look really lovely with all the rain. This is a fantastic one. It didn't appear last year, but the year before it did. So it's a biannual, so whether it's self-seeded from last year, and it's got this very sort of lovely spotty flower in the middle. It hasn't quite opened yet. There's a little poppy there, and they're the yellow flag irises. We've put some zinnias here. This is Zinderella, which I've just put in. And then we'll head round to this side. You'll see that the beech hedge has put on loads of growth, and it's giving that feeling of enclosure in this quadrant part of the garden. And we have got plans here, which I won't tell you about at the moment, but we will get to that eventually. But it's nice to have that separation from this part of the garden and that part. So here, just more really, we've got the Eupatorium at the back of this border as well, and the one behind me that we've just seen. We've got, what are they, Echinops. We've got Penstemon. That's a nice little euchera. That's Potentilla, related to the strawberry flower, as you can see. More of the totally tangerine geum. Achillea, Valerium. That's a peony at the back, there, well not there, which I moved whenever we did the Hornbeam Walk. I had to move that peony, and it was fine actually. In fact, I split it, and I've actually got about 3 different clumps, I think. So Now the star at the moment here, I probably, well, actually don't know what the star is, everything's the star, but here is looking beautiful, and this is the Clematis montana, which is the white one, Alba, and it goes right up into this tree. We've got lupins here, not quite opened yet. This is lovely, I love astrantias. This is a lovely little one. Can't remember what that one's called, but it's a nice little white one. Lovely yellow irises at the back there. Some geraniums, and then where there are some gaps, we've just infilled with some of the annuals that were growing. I think we've got a rabbit in the garden because I saw a little baby rabbit here when I looked out the window yesterday morning, and it's been eating some of my zinnias rather annoyingly. And that's the view as we look up the garden. And we'll head now into the Sunken Garden. So the Sunken Garden has got the 4 Portuguese laurels, and you'll see that they're in flower at the moment. It's a lovely structural tree, and we pruned it quite late last year, but we got away with it, it was fine. And it's kept that lovely shape. So this is a cooler part of the garden because we go into shade. We're shaded by that big cherry tree. And over here is the work that we've been doing just recently, where we put in the hydrangeas, and these are hydrangea arabescens, and it's the strong Annabelle. So they're looking good. Perhaps need to give them a little bit of a water, but I think that's going to look lovely. And they're backed by the Nepeta running down the path. And then above you'll see the lime trees, and they've really knitted together very, very well, looking healthy and lovely. And that just screens from the shed and the perhaps not so pretty area behind. And this is a lilac, not flowering very well. I think we were a bit late cutting it, so I think we've cut off the blooms accidentally. So we've just got one flower. So we'll head now into the Woodland Garden. So this is the archway, covered now in ivy from all over. I really like that. That was a look that took me a long, long time to get, but it's finally done it. And it was wobbly, but Alistair fixed it in the winter, so it's nice and secure. It's not going to go anywhere for some time. This is Solomon's seal, just starting to go over a little bit, but it's been beautiful. A little bit of a gap here. We had a choice here that got frosted the winter before last, and it was really struggling, so we've taken it out because we're quite excited to have a spot to put something new into there. So I'll just head round here. You can see it's lovely and lush, and the white of the silver birch really stands out against the lovely lush green of the ferns. All these shuttlecock ferns are looking lovely, getting very full. We've got some hostas down at the bottom, little self-seeded Christophii allium. That's the epimediums. Had a little bit of grind elder, which we've been trying to get out. And this is euphorbia. And this is the view as you look through the Woodland Garden. And this area is really starting to mature. It's taken a long time, but we're getting lots of growth from the trees, and it's casting this lovely dapple shade, and the light levels are just beautiful at this time of the evening. And that's the long path. So this is the area that you join the woodland path from the long border. We've got a little bit of a gap there, which is an opportunity to plant something nice. I did put the miscanthus morning light there, which looked lovely last year. It really fills that area, but there is a gap there at the back. You'll notice here that we've got camasias. I never planted camassia bulbs here. We've got the camasias up in the top border, and when I did the research about camasias, it said that they don't self-seed, but rather they spread by bulking up. The bulbs get bigger and multiply under the soil, but they do self-seed, because these, I know for a fact, I've never planted any bulbs here, but what I did do when I was very enthusiastic about camasias was that I did shake some of the seeds on this area, so that's how they've come here. So they've self-seeded, and I haven't got a problem with that. They look lovely here. We'll talk about camasias a bit more as we go round. Here underneath this, this is a multi-stemmed silver birch, Betula giacomonti. It's lovely, and this grass is that lovely grass that I talked about is Lazula, I can never say it, Lazula nivea, And I really like it under the base of a tree. I think it's lovely, and with the little white flower it just brings out the white of the bark. I think that works really, really well. We've got the hellebores, which have obviously gone over now but look lovely. More of the London Pride, more ferns. That's the paracanthus at the back there, so it's getting quite big. We've put them on every other panel along this fence, and as they've got bigger now, I think we need to treat the fence because it's very green. After we've treated the fence, we'll be able to attach that to the fence and try and get coverage, because that would be nice. Here we've got more of these beautiful digitalis. And we got the more of the bark chippings for the path, which really, really makes it look lovely. It just needed topping up. And we've got the hydrangea on this side. This is the limelight, paniculata limelight. Then we've got the brachioglottis and the, I've forgotten the name, something bridal wreath. I can never remember the name of that shrub, but I know it's called bridal wreath. I'll put the name up. More of the paracanthus at the back, and more of the London Pride. What a lovely froth of pink on the path. Then here, oh, this is in flower. This is the little carokia, which has got little yellow flowers, and I don't think it's ever flowered before. I hadn't noticed it had flowers on it. More ferns, more grasses. This one is called Evergold. This is the Catinus, which we planted not last autumn, the autumn before. Look at how lovely the colour is. It's beautiful, I love it. And underneath it we've got the gunnera. So if this gets taller, the gunnera can stay because it can rise above it, and it brings out the red of the underside of the leaf of the gunnera. So that's nice. So if we pan round from the Catinus, there's a bit of a change here, and we did have a Stipa gigantea, which did look lovely, but Alistair's really, really keen, really wanted an Acer, and we thought this would be a lovely spot for an Acer because it's quite sheltered and hopefully it will do well. And this one is a beautiful one. It's called a Zucchazaki, and it's got very, very fiery red leaves in the autumn, so we're looking forward to seeing, well, we did see it, what it was like when we bought it. It was in leaf. But the new leaves are obviously yellow and they look beautiful. So far it's looking good. It looks really lovely. Then we've got, what else have we got? That's the lamb's ear. We've got the Phormium, that's looking lovely. And the red of the leaf on that, the red's just being bounced through the border. We've got the Phormium, we've got the little Euchera, and then we've got the Catinus, and we've got lots of yellows, lots of contrasting leaf shapes and forms. And this is nice. This is Pulsatilla vulgaris, or pasque flower. It's got these beautiful purple flowers, but the best thing about it is these fantastic seed heads, and they dry really well, but I don't really like picking them because they look so good in the garden. That's just a little scabious at the back, Nautica macedonica. And on this side we've got, just looking back at the limelight hydrangeas, these big leafed hostas, which are lovely. A little bit of attack there. I haven't put any barrier down for slugs. Astilbes there, and I think because we've had all this rain, these things are doing quite well this year. We've got the arum lily, which didn't show at all last year, but it's back again. That's the grass Stipa tenicium, which we bought at RHS Bridgewater. Then we pan around here. That's the elderflower, Sambuca nigra, and I put it there because I thought it would look lovely contrast to the Montana, and it does. It looks very nice, and also a nice contrast to this. This is Pittosporum tenifolium Irene Patterson. So I think when that gets bigger, and it has put on a lot of growth. We had a lovely, beautiful viburnum there, but unfortunately it died. We had a mole that started digging up the garden, and it damaged it and destabilised it. So that's its replacement, and it's good to see it's looking good. So this is the view of the garden from here. And we'll head now to the pond area. And here we've just got more hydrangea. You can tell I like hydrangea. This is hydrangea macrophylla. This is a mop-head hydrangea. We've also got a buddleia behind it, and just some erigeron on the path there, which survives the winter. I love it because it's very low maintenance. This area needs a bit of work. Got problems in that I've got hydrangeas in pots that are stuck. That one's got a rim on it. I can't get it out and it's looking really dry. I need to water and feed it, but it could do with being potted on. And that's a hydrangea limelight, also could do with coming out of that pot and do a bit of a root prune and renew the soil and put it back in again. But I couldn't really do it on my own, and Alistair's busy at the moment. So this is the view of the pond. The pond could do with being cleared out. It's a bit full of stuff and leaves. So here is the hydrangea, another macrophylla hydrangea mop-head. And then we've got ceanothus on this wall. You can just hear the noise of the fountain that we fixed last year. So we've got a blue ceanothus and a white ceanothus. And this is the view of the little fountain that we fixed. And the little waterfall is running on the pond as well. And this is the view from the house. So we've got two trees here. This is Amilankia lamarckii. And they're doing really well. They've put on lots and lots of growth. We've got one on each side. And underneath we've got the Gora lindimeri, and we've got the little alliums. And this border is chock-a-block full. We've got this lovely little geum. This geum is called pink petticoats or petticoats, something like that. I'll put the name on the screen. And a lovely, this is red valerian. More alliums. And look at this aquilegia. Love this. It reminds me of like Tinkerbell. It looks like it's just flying through the air. And here the lupins are out in this part of the garden. And these are a lot of the plants that I've been growing on, and I'll get Olivia to tell you a little bit more about this whenever she comes home. So lots of plants looking really healthy and getting bigger, so we're just keeping them here so that we can look after them. So we'll just walk through the Quadrant Garden and we'll head up now into the Parterre. This pot, it just looks so lovely. I had a euchre in it all winter and it's in flower and it looks lovely, and I couldn't bring myself to take it out to put bedding and things in, so I just stuck a geranium in, one of the geraniums that overwintered, so I haven't spent anything on that this year. And we'll pass now into the Parterre. So the Parterre we built quite a few years now. These are cobble sets, originally from the streets of Liverpool. Actually, we got them from a salvage reclamation yard, and we've put them in with, we've got box hedging around each of the 4 areas, and then inside we've got roses, so it's our rose Parterre. And these roses are called Desdemona. It's a beautiful rose. It has these pale pink buds which they open to a slightly creamy pink flower, and then they turn very, very white as they get older. And they smell lovely too. It's a David Austin rose, and it's just stunning, really, really good. We did have a ballerina rose in here, but it just didn't work so well. It was more of a sprawling rose, and that's the one that, as I said, we moved to the other part of the garden with the herbaceous perennials, and it works well in that context because it sprawls and weaves its way through other perennials. So this one works far better in this setting, and it behaves itself. It grows to just the perfect height. It's a lovely bushy size and form. So they get better and better every year because the plants are filling out and really filling this whole area. And the box in this part of the garden's looking really good, as is all the box actually in the garden, following our treatment with the Top Buxus products. So yeah, it'll be ready for a cut quite soon. So I'll be on the lookout when we go to Chelsea at the end of the week on the David Austin stand to see this rose and to look out for any new roses that are coming from David Austin, because I love their roses and they seem to do well despite our really sandy soil. And just quickly to show you this, so following the video that we did on box, you can see this was the one that had the problem in it, and I cut it out quite hard, which as it turned out I don't really need to do, but you can see the regrowth on there is really excellent, lovely new growth. And we'll head now into the seating area. So the seating area is slowly maturing, the hedges are growing up and it's becoming a little bit more sheltered. And to the right of me here, this is the little ladder that used to be the little ladder up to the children's playhouse when they were little. So we did a video actually on repurposing that and making it into this little plant holder. So we've got the little succulent plants on here, and that works quite well. There's holes drilled. These are little plastic shelves, and we made little holes just for the water to drain through. So that works quite well. And over on this side is the bench, the white bench. Now this white bench used to be up on the long borders, at the end of the long borders, but we've got plans to put a summer house there, so we thought we'd use it here because there was a little metal seat that matched this table that was here, but it was really rusted through and was being held together with cable ties, so probably a bit dangerous. If you have a big dinner and you're full up and you plonk yourself down on the seat, there was a good chance that you would go right through and end up on the floor. So we've put this seat here, and that's lovely. It's a lovely comfortable seat, so I've given it a nice lick of paint and it looks like new again. And you'll see these planters are planted out with more of the heliochrysums and the florist dill and the limonium, all the things I'm growing from seed. I just needed more space to put them, so I've put them in here. And the other thing you can see, there are lots of little weed seedlings all around the base of these pots. And this is the Sitara viridas, the grass that we grew last year. It has self-seeded. I really loved it, but it has self-seeded, so we'll have to go around pulling all that out. But there is also some in the pots. I'm quite happy for it to come back in the pots. So you may wonder why we've chosen to have our seating area here rather than nearer the house. The reason for that is that our back garden is actually north facing, and so although we did have seating nearer the house when we first moved in, it didn't work because it was cold and it was windy and it was a really unpleasant place to sit in the evening. So for that reason, we've put the seating area up this far end. It's a bit of a pain when you're taking food up, but it is a lovely place to sit. And the way you exit the seating area is through this little cobble path. There's a little holly tree at the end there. And we did this deliberately. We wanted the seating area to be completely enveloped by hedging so that you felt, warm and cozy in that area. So you exit it through that path, and then that will lead into, this is the new area that we've been working on. Now, I won't go into this too much because we have just done a video about all the individual plants. I'm not going to go through all those again. If you're interested, have a look at the video that we did last week. But I'm really pleased with the sort of general feel of this area. It's really transformed, particularly getting the grass down. We put the turf down. It was really transformational. I think the plant here, I just have to point this out for anyone that didn't see the other video. This is a beautiful plant. This is a viburnum. This is Viburnum plicatum Kilimanjaro sunrise. A bit of a mouthful, but isn't it stunning? It's covered in insects. And this area is deliberately planted with lots of plants that will have year-round appeal, year-round interest, not just for me and Alistair and the family that enjoy it, but also for insects, because it's always good to have plants that have pollen on them when everything else in the garden hasn't got pollen and flowers. So this garden is chosen with that in mind, and for lots of colour and smell at all times of the year. And I've got big plans for this centre circle, so watch this space. When we go to Chelsea, I want to get ideas for what to put in there, so we'll be coming back to that soon. And I'm so pleased with the way these paths have worked out. So going from this curve into very straight paths, I think it works. Alistair and Josh have pulled this off incredibly well. So the straight paths going down there, either side of the hedge, and then if we just stick our head through these hedges, you can see that this is a little secret path through to this part of the garden, so we'll approach that from the other end so you can see it properly. And before we head round there, I'll just show you the view from this little seat. So this seat needs to be put in properly, but this will be the view. And as this garden matures, it will become fuller and lovelier over the years to come. And heading through the archway into what I currently call the long borders, but I think this garden will become the Rill Garden eventually. Can't really call it that as yet because it's now just the big whole garden at the moment, but it will become the Rill Garden. And I just wanted to capture this moment in time when things are perfect, absolute perfection at the moment in these borders. It looks like a sort of an impressionistic painting. I can't take credit for it really. I did put the Camasias in and I put all the plants in, but it's honestly Mother Nature that has self-seeded them and given this impression, which is just beautiful. So just show you some of the things. This is Camasia leclinii alba. I get asked a lot what this Aquilegia is. It's called pink petticoats, and it cost me pennies because I grew this from a little packet of seeds. And this beautiful rose, which is just growing up the obelisk. It's not really a climber actually. This is a David Austin rose called Olivia Rose Austin. It's a shrub rose, but it does get quite big, and so I'm choosing to put it through the middle of this obelisk, and the obelisk supports it really well. This was cuttings taken from an original rose plant elsewhere in the garden. I've taken lots of cuttings from it and it does very, very well. This is more of the London Pride. Here you can see this box hedging was particularly bad. I thought this was really doomed. It looked terrible in the winter. But you can see that again it's regrowing, so highly recommend the products by Top Boxes. I'm not just saying that. I did do a collaborative video with them, but the results just speak for themselves. Fantastic, really recommend it. If you do have box and you don't want to replace it, lots of people are making the decision to replace it, but if you like it and you want to keep with it, then the key is to take action and to look after it. So I won't go into it anymore, but if you are interested and have got box hedging, then watch the video because I explain at length, and I've learned a lot doing this video on what to do to prevent problems occurring. So I want to talk now a little bit about Camasias. This is Camasia leclinii alba. Camasias are becoming a very popular plant. They were really unheard of for a long time, but we're seeing them pop up everywhere in all these show gardens and things. Everywhere we go, there are Camasias. And what I've learned about them, I've done a lot of research about them, and I found living with them and having grown them now for probably about 7 years, what to expect from them. And I feel in a good position to advise people that are perhaps just thinking about planting Camasias. Camasias, as you can see, look stunning. They attract loads of bees. They give that nice pointy structure in a border. But what I would say is think about how you're planting them. I did a video about this border a little while back with in conjunction with Rosie Hardy, because I was in despair after last year, the end of last year, after the Camasias went over. My borders looked really, really flat. And I think what's happening is the Camasias are getting bigger and bigger, and they're affecting the vigour of other plants. So later in the season, in August, September, October, the borders weren't nearly so good, particularly actually July and August, they didn't look good at all. So I was concerned that it was affecting the vigour. Spoke to Rosie Hardy, who's a real expert in perennials, and she said yes, the way to plant Camasias really is to plant them perhaps in a meadow, in long grass. The advantage of that is then when they die, it's quite easy just to run a mower over the Camasias and just cut them off. As it is with these borders, there are a lot of work, because once they go over, I have to manually go through and cut each individual Camasia back. And it's quite time consuming and quite hard work, and also the issue with affecting the vigour of other plants. So I just wanted to make people aware of, because they do look beautiful, and I'm seeing these planted amongst herbaceous borders in show gardens, but obviously show gardens are only there for that show. They're not in it for sort of 7 to 10 years time, what they're going to look like. So just be aware what it is you want from the borders and whether or not Camasias are the right plant for you. And also a few things I'd like to challenge the textbooks and the online research that I did as not being terribly accurate, is that it says that Camasias do particularly well on wet. They like moisture retentive soil. They do well in clay soil apparently, but they definitely do well on sand. I didn't know that when I planted them. Hadn't read all that, and I put them in our sandy soil, and they shouldn't really have done as well as they have done.
but as you can see, they're thriving in our very free draining sandy soil. So there you go. So the question for me now is, what should I do? I had intended to take all these borders out and redesign them, but the borders have been better than ever this year. It's as if they're trying to tell me something. Hang on a minute, don't do anything. I'm really glad I wasn't too hasty and didn't rip it all out in the spring, as was my intention, because they look great. So I do need to see how they perform for the rest of the year and make my decision. Now you can see I'm just zooming in on this hole. So this is where the water is going to be up the middle. I think it's going to look lovely. It will reflect the sky, reflect all the colours, and it will just, I think this will transform the garden. So we will do the work on this, but at the moment it's not happening yet because we've got so many other things to do. And I thought this is a job that can be done when other things can't be done in the height of summer or whatever, over the winter, whenever we get time. There's so much to do at this time of year that it just isn't a priority. We did dig the hole simply because we wanted to use the spoils in the garden that we've just seen next door. So that's why there's a hole in the middle of our garden, but we will get to it eventually. So yeah, what shall I do with these borders? I'd love to hear what you think I should do. So my intention is probably just to monitor them, and probably once the Camassias have gone over is just to thin them out a little bit. I think that might be the best course of action for the moment, and then see what happens. So we're in the vegetable patch now. Just a quick update what we're doing here. So work is ongoing. This is an area of transition, clearing the site, ready to put the raised borders in. It's a lot of work just getting the levels right, trying to work out how it will be. So Alice has done a lot of the groundwork. The easy bit really is putting the raised borders in. It's all the groundwork that's time consuming, but he does it very well. Here on this side is the cut flower garden. So you can see that everything that I put in a couple of weeks ago is doing incredibly well. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And then going over to the other side, this is all the fruit. We've got strawberries, they're doing very well indeed. We've got rhubarb at the back, which we've had quite a lot of this year, and that's a blueberry bush, and that's laden with fruit. Here are some black currants again, lots and lots of fruit. It's going to be a good year because it's been so wet. Gooseberries are there. All of this will need to be netted before the birds get any ideas and have it before I do. And if we just look closely, we'll have a look and see whether the nigella seeds have started coming through. But look at the stones. We've got so many stones in this soil, and every time it rains they come to the surface, but you can just make out the nigella seeds. But another advantage of having the raised borders is that we can have stone-free soil. We won't have this problem in those beds. And these are the straw flowers, lovely little strong plants. And then heading over to this side, we've got the potatoes that should come through. Onions on this side. Oh, we put the French beans in the vegetable video that we did, and look, they've just come through. The growing conditions have been so perfect, wet and warm. Shallots here. I don't know what's happened to these. They don't look quite so good now. The broad beans, however, are good. They're getting quite big, and it's now time to pinch out the tops. And you do this to stop black fly. Just remove the little tops, and then they'll bush out and they'll start producing pods, and we'll soon be having a harvest of beautiful broad beans. This is Bunyard's Exhibition. This is the one that I usually grow. Oh, and then I wanted to show you my experiment with using grass. So this is the grass that we just mow the grass from, and instead of putting it on the compost heap, I had read that it's very good to use as a mulch, and I've always been a little bit reluctant to do this just in case there were weed seeds in it and it spread grass all over the vegetable patch. So I did a small area just to experiment, and it's actually worked incredibly well. I've been pleasantly surprised, and the area which didn't have any grass seeds was all full of weeds again. So I've re-weeded it, and then I've applied the grass from this week's grass cutting. So the more I've done, the better it seems to be. So courgettes are doing incredibly well. Some of them are just starting to flower, so I think it will be just a matter of weeks before we start eating our first courgette. And just in this little bit of soil, I had nowhere to put. I had some ranunculus that I was growing. I grew from seed. I had nowhere to put them, so I've just popped them in here. and I'm really excited to, if I did get a ranunculus, I would absolutely love that. So we'll just see what happens. Never grown them before. And you can just see I've got the pots sunken into the soil, and that just is a good little reservoir for when it comes to watering courgettes. If you want to see more, just watch the video that we did all about that. And I'm also just putting the grass on the potatoes because there were quite a lot of weeds. Anywhere where there's bare soil, weeds come. So the more mulches and things you can use, then the more time saving it is for you as a gardener. We've got lots of fruit on the pear and apple trees. We've got a bit of damage to the wire running along the fence is broken, so we just need to repair that, and then we can tie this back on again. But lots of pears forming. I think this is going to be a great year for lots of fruit and veg this year with all the rain that we've had. And that's it really, so we'll just watch this space. Obviously a lot more work to do here in the vegetable patch, but it'll be interesting to show you what it's like when it's finished. It's not far away, it really isn't. It may look as if it is, but the groundwork is done, and that's the bit that takes the longest. Preparation is the slow part. And I'm so aware how lucky I am to have such a clever husband who knows how to do all of this. I come up with all these harebrained schemes, but they would stay harebrained ideas in my head. But as it is, Alistair's here to put the ideas into practice. In fact, he does have a few harebrained ideas of his own as well, but he does things so well. He's so methodical, he's so practical and so capable, and anything he touches is always fabulous. So here you can see the first layer of the sleepers going in, and it's starting to take shape, and here is the man himself. So thank you, Al, for all you do. This garden, as I said, would just be an idea in my head without the Superman here to put it all into practice. Oh, and of course Murphy, who is head of staff and supervises all proceedings. Come on, back to work, enough of the tea. So I think that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'm hoping in the next video to be in something a little bit more glamorous than my welly boots and my knee padded trousers as we're off to Chelsea. So really looking forward to that, meeting Olivia down in London, and hope you'll join us. So see you then, and I'm just going to sit here and enjoy the sound and the sights of the bees busy at work in these borders behind me. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye for now.